Hello students, welcome to COM 430, Communication Research and Methods. This week is the first week of class and we will be going over important and pertinent information to get the course rolling in a conductive manner, as well as what you need to know for the first week of content. As some of you may know, my name is Dr. Sandra Romo. I am the Program Director of the Master's and the Bachelor in Communication Studies programs here at CBU Online. My office is located in the CBU satellite campus on Tyler Plaza, which is just a couple miles from the CBU main campus. You can access my office or myself through Suite 200 in the Tyler Plaza building. My office extension is provided in this slide, as well as my email. I will tell you that the best way to get in touch with me is via email. If I'm not in the office, my email is synced to my phone and my tablets and multiple different devices, so I am readily available to respond to any inquiries in a fairly quick manner. You are more than welcome to drop by in any of my office hours. I am in the office on Monday and Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm also available by appointment throughout the rest of the week. Anytime, just like I said, send me an email and we can set a time to either chat by phone or in person if need be, if you cannot meet during the 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Time slots on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's if you have a desire to meet with me or want to go over some things. Likewise, just a little background information on me. I have served here as a professor at CBU. This is my 9th year. This is my second year full-time here at OPS. Prior to moving full-time to online and professional studies, I taught for 7 years in the traditional undergraduate face-to-face program on the CBU main campus. However, I have been involved in teaching online courses here with CBU Online since 2010 in some form or capacity. You can see here that I have included some pictures of my family, just kind of want to give you a little background and put some faces to the names as we work with each other in this virtual environment this semester. I've been married to my husband Mark for 11 years. We have 2 children. My son Nicholas is 9.5. My daughter Emma is 8. We are really committed to their activities. I am a Girl Scout leader. My husband coaches my son in football and in baseball. We are avid Green Bay Packer fans. We love the Packers. We also are big baseball fans and love to go to Angel games as well. So that's just some brief information about me, so you can kind of get to know me in a deeper way, and of course we'll be communicating via email with each other soon. I want to highlight some things from the syllabus. Obviously, I'm not going to go over it in its entirety. That's up to you to read and to understand all of the capacities in that binding contract between you and I that we call the syllabus. Some important things, though, that I do want to highlight that I feel it's worthy of me bringing up at this point is that all discussion board assignments have 2 deadlines. Your original reply, meaning your answer to the discussion board prompt, is due on Friday. Your replies, which is usually to at least 2 students, there are specific instructions in each discussion board prompt that will tell you if more replies are required. However, all replies to any student is due by Sunday. So you need to get your answer in by Friday night at 11:59 p.m. every week, unless it's noted in week 8 to be different, because week 8 has unique deadlines as we come accustomed to if you've taken classes with us before, and all of your replies should be completed by Sunday. I will also tell you that regardless of what the minimum reply count is for the prompt, some have 2, some have 3, some have 4, some have less, it's always encouraged that you interact with as many students as you can between Friday night and Sunday. The discussion board forum and weekly prompts are designed to be our participatory element in the course, meaning that is the best way in an asynchronous environment that we can ensure you're participating with one another in a discussion-like setting that would take place in a live face-to-face class that meant synchronously, which would be at the same time. Like I mentioned before, week 8 has unique deadlines. They vary significantly, so refer to the syllabus now for those deadlines, or if you go to the learning activities module page, you can go to week 8 and the deadlines are also listed in the module. It's important you do that at this point, even though we're in the first week of the course, because the deadlines do vary significantly. Typically, the last day to turn coursework in for the entire course in week 8 is usually day 5 or day 6, which is Friday or Saturday, which the norm in the course is on Sundays. And that's because professors have a quick turnaround time. We have grades due usually within about 12 to 18 hours from when the course officially ends that Sunday. So the last day to submit coursework is usually that Friday or Saturday in week 8. So it's important that you jot that down and put that in your calendar now. One other thing that I wanted to, well, it's twofold, kind of explain to you or just highlight, because it is in the syllabus, is late work is not accepted under any circumstances. It's important that you plan ahead and accordingly now for situations that may prevent you from submitting work on time. I will tell you, in my wealth of experience in working with students online and in any setting really, or any capacity, is that you need to always plan for the unexpected. The week you decide I'm going to wait till Saturday to get some of my work in instead of doing it Thursday or Friday will undoubtedly be the week that some major situation arises in your life and you're unable to get your work in on time, and then you don't have any grace that you can give yourself to get the assignments in before Sunday. So what I say is it's very important that you plan ahead. If you know you're going to have some extensive traveling or anything where you may be unavailable to access the course on the weekend that the assignments are due, it is quite all right to email me and let me know, and we can come up with an alternative plan to get those assignments in ahead of the deadline. Because like I said, I do not accept late work, but I will work with you and come up with a plan to get those assignments in early in a way that won't be overbearing for yourself. So do keep that in mind. I have a very stern, very strict, very simple late work policy. It's not accepted. Remember, this is an 8-week course, so it's an accelerated format, essentially meaning we don't take the content out of a traditional 16-week course. Instead, we're taking a 16-week course in half the time. So essentially, 1 week of work is accounting for 2 weeks of what you would have in a traditional time semester setting. So just keep that in mind. Additionally, weekly lecture viewing is required, so you've already met that requirement if you're listening to this lecture now. Just keep that in mind, that it's important to know. There is important information and instruction in these lectures. Not only do I spend time going through each assignment on what my expectation is of you on those lectures, I also provide some background and some content and some lecturing on what the reading is, not necessarily the reading, but the content theme or the content area we're spending time in on the course. And it's important to know that in communication research methods, this course is one of the most rigorous course, if not the rigorous course, you will take in your area of study for communication studies towards your degree at any point. We are talking about not just complicated information, but we are talking about a lot of complicated information in a short, accelerated format. And so it's really important that you listen to the lectures, because I may be highlighting some things or letting you know about some things maybe you should spend more time on in the week rather than other points that you should spend time on in the reading. Not to take away from any content, but helping you understand what are the most important aspects of the content we need to get through in a given week. Some things to expect. This is not a screenshot from our course. It's from a different course, but our course is organized in this fashion. You'll see an arrow pointing to the My Announcements section on your screen on the home screen. All lectures and major points of information that I need to get out to the class will be put in the My Announcements section. I will also send those out via Lancer Mail if needed as well. However, the best point of information to find out if I've told you anything new in the course or posted a lecture will be under the My Announcements tab. Do know that the announcements only display for 7 days. After 7 days, they do not go away. You just need to click the More Announcements little hyperlink, and it'll take you to the announcements section where you can look and see and access all of the lectures. All of the lectures are recorded through a platform called Screencast and uploaded to YouTube. That is purposeful in the sense that I want you to be able to access this and the platform to be applicable to multi-devices. I don't want you having an issue accessing the lecture on your tablet, phone, or computer, or smart TV, or whatever it is. I want you to be able to pull it up and watch it and listen and access it at any point on any device. I've been in your shoes before. All of my graduate work was completed with babies and little toddlers at home. So I know it's very important to be able to pull up a lecture on YouTube and maybe listen to it in your headphones at your kids' practice, or while you're in the waiting room, or on your lunch, or however it may be. So I've purposely put those on YouTube so they are readily accessible. Additionally, if you look, the week agenda is set up in a read, watch, complete, action-oriented format. You are reading content each week. You are watching pertinent videos and lectures and such, aside from my personal lecture, that will help you with the course content, and then you are completing whatever the course content is after that. So it's important to know as you go through the course that you should be listening to the lecture first. Those are usually posted at some point on Monday each week. You are then reading the course content, watching any supplementary required videos, and then completing the assignments. If you stick to that format, lecture and then read, watch, complete, you should be in very good shape to successfully complete the majority of the assignments in this course. Additionally, in case you are new and or you are not aware, I'm going to briefly review how to access your grades and feedback from me in Blackboard. So if you look at the graphic that has the number 1, you'll see that you need to go to the My Grades section in Blackboard. When that happens, you need to actually click on the assignment title to view your attempt. So you can see the arrow is pointing to, in this hypothetical situation, a week 1 lab. So you will click on that to view the attempt. After that, if you go to screen 2, you'll see that the view attempts provides you with a hyperlinked grade. So your grade, the number you can see here, 56.83, is hyperlinked. You will click the actual number and then screen 3 will pop up. It'll allow you to review your submission. In this example, it's a test. In your other examples, it'll be an assignment or discussion board or whatever it may be. If there's a rubric attached, you'll have a view rubric section that you can look at. If there is feedback from me, meaning written comments, it will be in the response feedback to view my feedback. Some of you may be aware of that. That's completely fine. I always make it a point to review it. We have new students rolling into our courses at all points throughout the school year, so it's a good time to review it, and it may have information that you weren't aware of, so I'm happy to share that with you. Now let's move into the content we have for this week. And like I mentioned, and I'm going to repeat this frequently throughout this term, COM 430 Communication Research Methods is the most intensive and potentially rigorous course you will take in this area of study. Traditionally, research methods is reserved for graduate studies or some of the hard sciences. In the undergraduate level, we have felt and done extensive research in determining that it's effective to bring it in at this point in your undergraduate career, so we're going to spend time going through that. This week we do have 2 texts. I use the author's last names. Creswell is the research methods class. It gives a mixed methods and an overview of all research types that are very pertinent. So that's the Creswell text. You're reading chapter 1 in that this week. And the Cornaglia text, which it's titled CSI, it's all about writing literature and accessing literature and research, is also very valuable text because it's exclusive to research methods for communication studies majors. We're reading the introduction as well as the essay titled in there, Why Do I Have to Do This? The Value of Academic Research Writing Skills. The Cornaglia text, I will say, is very focused in a step-oriented fashion. It's really designed for you to write your literature review, which is a huge section in your critical assignment, but also provides you with all the information you need to know about how to access scholarly research and create a solid research proposal, which is something we are working on this semester. You're also watching 2 videos, one on identifying a research problem and the second one on how to write a great research paper. Those are two areas that we will be spending a significant amount of time on this semester, not just in this week. Once those videos are completed, you will then complete activity number 1, discussion board number 1, which has your original answer due by Friday, and then replies due on Sunday, and then research activity number 1. To highlight activity number 1, you will be writing a 500-word reflection about your initial thoughts on what you think communication research is. So after going through all of the course content, reading videos, this lecture, everything that you've gone through in this week, I want you to spend time writing 500 words, so a brief essay about what your initial thoughts are of communication research. And this reflective assignment, it's going to help you in starting to think more scholarly and academically about our writing. In that, you will specifically share what you think the purpose of communication research is and what value we can draw from this type of scholarship. There will be some good information in the Cornellia text related to that particular aspect of the prompt. It's important to utilize course text to support your general ideas or major contentions, which in academic verbiage is your major arguments or major points about communication, and create a clear definition of what communication research means to you. Make sure you utilize APA format and style in this paper and post it no later than Sunday. And just to recap, I am looking for a reflection about your general thoughts of communication research. Discussion number 1 is a multimedia discussion this week. The prompt is asking you to create a YouTube video that discusses and asks you to present 2 ideas from one of the course texts. In this 2 to 3 minute video presentation, you can share your personal definition of communication research. Additionally, you'll write a 200-word reflection for their video that you'll post into the discussion board forum area along with the hyperlink to your video, and respond to at least 3 other students' videos with 100-word responses per reply. So it's important that we're utilizing this multimedia approach to define and explain and share what our thoughts are on communication research, to begin to discuss this from a scholarly perspective with our other students. If you have any issues accessing the YouTube multimedia platform and recording the video or uploading it or anything like that, let me know. I do know from personal experience, it could be as simple as recording it from the YouTube app on your phone and then pressing upload, and it takes about a matter of 10 to 15 minutes to do that on the YouTube app on your phone. Same thing for your computer. So it should not be too intensive. After that, you'll write a 200-word reflection about the process of making this video and respond to at least 3 other students as well. Research activity 1. We have 5 research activities this semester that pertain exclusively to the idea of communication research and the research process. This week you're creating a Prezi that shares the 4 learning objectives. It's not 5, it's 4 learning objectives for academic research presented on page 15 of the Cornellia text. In this Prezi, it's important that you explain how each step relates to the communication research and include a clear introduction and conclusion to the presentation. And all you need to do is submit a link for the Prezi. If you stay tuned to the remaining points of this lecture, you will have an exclusive peek and access to what those points are, so it's easy for you to find in the Cornellia text. So please keep listening. To highlight some content areas and give some context to the nature and the purpose of communication research, it's important to understand the models of communication. When we get into communication research, you're going to quickly learn that we have to organize our research methods in 2 primary ways. Either quantitative analysis or qualitative analysis. A quantitative analysis is utilizing numbers, statistics, and things of that nature to measure and determine the effectiveness or whatever it is we want to look at of a communication phenomenon. Qualitative research is going to utilize open-ended interviews and non-statistical methods to evaluate communication phenomenon or behaviors. So with that, it's important to look at the 4 types or models of communication. There's linear communication, which is a unidirectional communication model that says communication only goes in one direction. So if there were a line, we would start with the sender at one point of the line and end with a receiver. And in between there, we would encode, send the message, and decode the message. So the linear perspective says that all communication takes place in one line, beginning with the sender, ending with the receiver, and it's noted as the SMR, the SEMDR model. So the SMR model tells us that communication is very linear. From that perspective, one direction, sending something from a source and receiving it on the end. The interaction model of communication discusses the back and forth process of communication, still from a linear perspective. So at this point we have a source, we have a message that is sent to the receiver, but then the receiver can turn into the source and bounce a message back over to the first sender and back and forth. So the sender becomes the receiver and the receiver becomes the sender as they have this back and forth interaction with communication. Very linear. Transactional is the idea of this give and take communication exchange that involves a source and a receiver responding simultaneously to one another in more of a conversational setting. So we are getting beyond just this interactional linear approach and moving into this transactional linear approach where we are having this give and take, this constant feedback back and forth with each other. To point out some points is when you see a commercial on television, that's a very linear approach. You have a source, that is the company, and they have a message. They send that out through television, and the commercial is given to the receiver. Interaction from that perspective would be it would be live TV. We're allowing people to pull in, like on Dancing with the Stars or American Idol, and pull in and give and interact with the show per se and give their feedback on what they think of the singer or the dancer or whatever it may be. But there's no transaction. A transactional model would be if we had bouncing live people calling in and communicating with them. Still very linear, utilizing TV as the platform, but getting transactional in the give and take aspect of the communication exchange. Ritualistic communication moves beyond the mere transaction, interaction, or linear perspective and considers that all communication is part of a communicative experience with one another. And the goal is to really build the ritual. So we're looking at the ritual of how we are communicating, where our communication takes place, and moving beyond this linear, interactional, or transactional method. More so maybe looking at us communicating in small groups, or looking at how we all gather under the tree to pick up our kids from school and we all chat. It's a ritual. Our communication takes place in a ritual-like fashion, and the exchanges and the give and take from the communication is a part of the communicative experience, but the goal of communication is building the ritual and building that unique bonding experience, whatever it may be, with one another. As we think about this when it comes to communication research, it's very important that we understand what type of communication model is being accessed or utilized in this research process. So if we're evaluating the effectiveness of a television commercial, we need to understand that it's very linear. It's very one-sided, the communication process. It's a company sending something to the audience, and they're not getting any type of instantaneous feedback. Where communication, utilizing digital media or social media or whatever we want to call it, could be more transactional or ritualistic depending on what it is. So think about some of those things as we move into communication research. It's important to know that the use of theory in research is vital and a necessity in communication research. Communication research from a communicative perspective, looking at communication studies, is driven by theory. That's a careful line I'm walking as I say that, because when we get into qualitative research, it's not supposed to be theory driven. Quantitative is. We have some sort of communication theory that we want to test and see how the effectiveness or the interaction aspects of it in some form or fashion, and we take that theory and we test it quantitatively, looking at the statistical data that comes from that. Qualitative, not so much. We're supposed to let the theory emerge and come out in our results. We're not supposed to be seeking what the theory, we're not supposed to be proving or disproving a theory. Rather, we're supposed to be seeking and determining what phenomena come out from that perspective. So as we look at this slide, it's important to see that theory is more accurately defined as a set of interrelated concepts that are presenting a systematic view of communication phenomenon, relating the purpose for explaining and predicting phenomena. It really is a map of reality. Theories help us explain the truth they depict by objective facts out there, subjective meanings in our head. Either way, you need to have theory to guide us through unfamiliar territory in communication behaviors and phenomenon. So as we look at the purpose of communication research, it's very important to see that communication theories help us understand to solve people puzzles we encounter. We utilize communication from a research perspective to help us learn and answer questions we develop about the people puzzles. So our theories really suggest that our research and our research work should lead to theories or help explain theories that are related to communicative interactions, behaviors, and phenomenons within human communication. So what are some of the purposes of why we conduct communication research? Sometimes we utilize research to seek and resolve inconsistent findings within communication phenomenons or attempt to relate new information. Essentially, one of the primary ways is to seek, understand, and explain or predict communicative phenomenon, behavior, and interactions, as well as clarifying theories. We also look at historical and critical methods, which we do not highlight too much in this course, as to look at the descriptive research elements, as well as experimental research and naturalistic and ethnographic research, in all attempts to understand, become better at explaining and finding purpose within communication phenomena or behaviors. So what we're looking at is the linear, the interactional, the transactional, or even the ritualistic aspects of why humans are communicating in a scholarly perspective, utilizing communication theory either exclusively from a quantitative perspective or qualitatively by letting it explore and come out. Now we're going to look at this obviously throughout the next 8 weeks a little more in depth. I just wanted to highlight and provide you with some good information as to how this relates to the course. Now, going back to research activity number 1 with your Prezi, here are 4 points of the value of undergraduate research. First, students learn and think in new and complex ways. Second, they appreciate their discipline more. So we're studying communication studies, and the purpose of conducting and learning about research at this point is to help you appreciate your discipline more. You typically have improved analytical thinking skills and have resources to become lifelong learners more deeply than you would in another course or another topic. So as you go through that on page 15, or XV, the Roman numeral 15, on the Cornelia text, think about those 4 points that you need to create a Prezi about what the purpose and value is of undergraduate research, and in that research activity number 1. If you have any questions this week, please reach out early. I am more than willing to sit down and chat with you in any capacity on the phone, via WebEx, or in person. Remember, we're reading chapter 1 of the Creswell text, as well as the introduction and the Why Do I Have to Do This essay in the Cornelia text. Watch the 2 videos listed in the week 1 agenda, as well as completing activity number 1, discussion board number 1, which is due on Friday with replies due on Sunday, and research activity number 1. I really look forward to interacting with you and spending some time getting to know each of you this semester. Do not be overwhelmed by the nature of this course. I know it is very rigorous and seems very complicated in the content area, but I have full confidence in each of you being able to get through a lot of the assignments and work hard and learn a lot this term. So I look forward to being a part of that process with you. If you have any questions, let me know, and I pray you all have a blessed week. God bless and take care.